Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy D Mac, and I'm back with another topic to talk about. I do a lot of research and I do a lot of studying and reading throughout the day, and I come across things that catches my attention and I feel like I need to expound upon. And so I came across this one thing on TikTok, and the question that was posed to women was this. And let me put a disclaimer out there before I even really get into this. It is understood that not all women fall in this category. It is understood that there are some men out there who do not meet their obligations. And it is understood that there are some women out there who take full advantage of a one sided situation. And I'm talking about child support. And so the question that was posed to black women was this: why, when a female has a child that they can't take care of, they're given the option of putting them up for adoption, or they have the option of getting public assistance or government assistance, but when a man cannot take care of a child, the only option he has is jail? And I was like, whoa, wow. And I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, that is so true. We as men, we do not get the luxury of being able to apply for public assistance to take care of our child. It's expected of a man to be able to go out here and earn a living wage and be able to take care of that child. But not only that child in another household, he also has to maintain the household that he's in. But women don't have that burden on them. And so we're in this climate now to where the big topic in conversation is gender equality, and how women should have the same equal rights as men. But we always, when we get into this conversation, we're going to have to go to that area to where women don't want to talk. And that's about the downside of what we as men have to go through. And so the question that I pose is, would a lot of you women be willing to take the downside of being a man? Because every time we hear this conversation about gender equality and what men have versus what women have, everything that alluded to is monetary and power and things of that nature. But what about the sacrifices that we as men have to take? I know Bill Burr recently did a show about the WNBA, and he masterfully broke down the disparity between the NBA and the WNBA, and how unrealistic these ladies are as far as being paid what these guys are being paid, who generate all of these billions of dollars, as opposed to the WNBA not being able to generate a fraction of that. And so they don't want to accept the truth of the matter or the reality of it. They just want what the men have. And this is an ongoing storyline between men and women, and it comes from the very beginning, because that is one of the curses that God placed on females, is that they will have that desire to be in the place of a male. And so that's why we always have these control issues in our relationships with female who don't have a strong connection with God, and the knowledge of the word that gives them the opportunity to correct certain things in our personalities that are just known as, oh, well, that's just what women do, or that's just what men do. And so when you're not held to that level of accountability, then, it changes the course of what we're talking about. And so the question still stands is, why is it that women are not willing to accept the downside? Are you willing to go out here and be a ditch digger? Are you willing to go out here and work in the coal mines? Are you willing to go in the military and go into actual combat? Because this is one of the big things about the military, and the gender disparities in the military. Now, it's always been a thing in the military that females do not go into combat. Do you know why? Because let's say you and Becky been sleeping around. Y'all in the same unit and everything. Y'all have a little relationship going on the low. Well, y'all go into a combat situation and you see Becky get shot and taken out. You have to maintain your position, because if you don't maintain your position, then you can jeopardize the whole entire unit. And this is something that a lot of snipers would do. They would shoot one of our soldiers, and they would have them just laying out there, and they would wait for somebody to run out there to grab them so that they could take those people out too. And so there were many times where you would have to sit and just watch him. When I say him, I'm talking about the sniper. You would watch the sniper continue to shoot your fellow soldier in different parts of the body to make him scream out, so that it would drum up all of this emotion in you, and you would just run out there because you couldn't bear to hear him scream anymore. And so how much more effective would that be if it was a female? Your girl Becky that you've been chilling with, she's out there and she's getting shot in the arm, she's getting shot in the leg, shot in the knee, shot in every place that would make her scream out, so that you can get in your emotions and run out there. Now you put yourself in jeopardy. You put the rest of your team in jeopardy because you got out of place. This is why females do not go into combat in the military. And there's a very good reason for that, as well as there are very good reasons as to why there are certain things that men can do that women cannot do. I don't know why this is so hard for people to understand. It's hard to understand for people who want more than they deserve. It's hard to understand from people who have a sense of entitlement. It's hard to understand for people who have no spiritual knowledge of any type, and they're living off of the world. And what the world says and the world's wisdom is dirt and filthiness to God. And so when we listen to these people out here in the world and they make their points based on their worldly understanding, it sounds good to somebody who's in a carnal mind state. But somebody who's in a spiritual mind state and they're seeking to know the truth, then these things are not going to set right with them. These things don't line up with the word that they claim to walk in and the label that they love to carry, which is the banner of Christianity. So we have to get an understanding of this. If we're going to talk about gender equality in the truth, in the entire truth, then we can't just skip around to the parts that benefits the women. We also got to deal with them being willing to accept the downside of masculinity. And we all know what those downsides are. So in the case of child support, would the woman be willing to accept the same treatment that we as men get from the court when it comes to child support? Now, there's going to be some isolated situations as to where women are held accountable, but they have to be the utmost sorry, trifling excuse for a parent in order for that to take place. Men, that's all they need. Females, all they got to do is make an accusation against us, and that's good enough for the court. And they're going to come at us with both smoking barrels and full throttle. So are y'all willing to take that heat, ladies? And this is no knock on y'all. I'm really seriously asking this question. Are y'all willing to take that heat that we take? Are y'all willing to take all of the criticism and all of the ridicule that we as men are supposed to take from y'all and not give you a response? Are y'all willing to do that? Are y'all willing to have the government to put you in a financial hole because a woman came and gave them a tainted version of the story of y'all relationship, which ended in the result of a child being made? Are y'all willing to deal with that if that man goes in there and tells them all of this stuff about you and you don't get an opportunity to defend yourself? And if you do, it doesn't matter because they're still going to take you for more than what they're supposed to? Are you willing to do that? It's a very valid question, and anyone who would be offended by the question being asked is somebody who's in denial and don't want to deal with truth. And so I don't have any conversation for you anyway. But women who are mature enough, grown enough in the spirit, then we can have this conversation with them. But man, there's just a great disparity in the whole gender equality conversation. And it's very apparent that a lot of these feminists and these women who are supporting uh, gender equality don't want all that comes with being a man. So if you can't handle everything that comes with masculinity, it's probably best that you stay in femininity, period. That's all I really got to say on that, man. This is your boy D Mac. You know what I say? Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word will always heal you. I'm out.